given 2 days to forgive the attackers before they returned. We hardly knew how to read or to write, but that day, we learned how to vote.
Do nothing.
Stay and fight.
Leave.
I had already read the book when I heard about the project. I read it in my book club. There's only 2 of us in the book club.
Book club. You mentioned the book club.
There's 3 of us. I mean, 2 other people besides myself.
Sounds great.
Yes, I had read it and loved it, and then when I heard Sarah was directing it, I emailed her kind of incessantly. She really put so much time and energy into like who was, not just in that hayloft in terms of the actors, but like every crew member, every head of department, like it was, she cultivated like such a group of people that made it possible for us to make this thing in a certain way that I hadn't worked with a female director in a long time. I think it had been like 10 years or something, and it was interesting, like just the subtle difference in energy.
The script, I felt, was like nothing else I'd ever read, in the sense that it was a story from beginning to end. There wasn't a lot of kind of separate scenes with stage direction. It wasn't filled out like a lot of movies is, where it basically tells you what to think and feel when you read it. There was so much space in it, it felt. But also there was a lot of dialogue. And I even said to Sarah, I said, you know, this reads to me like a play. And she's really brave, I think, that she basically knew that you couldn't take the theoretical argument and also the personal argument of these women, like the conversation that they're having. You couldn't try and strip it back and make it just visual. It wouldn't work.
We discuss it in the film of like, it's an education, you know, but that men and women have both learned and have been learning from elders or people at the top tier who've kind of, so that they can hold their position, have been like trickling down this education, which is kind of, and it's both men and women who need to unlearn things so they can learn something new.
Yeah, it's not about blame.
No.
Or retribution.
Surely there must be something worth living for in this life, not only the next.
Who are any of you to pretend I have had a choice?
We know that we must protect our children.
I read Miriam Toews' book a few years ago when it first came out, and it had this very profound impact on me. The book kind of seared through me, and it raised so many questions, both personally and in terms of the world that I live in. I think a lot of its power is the way it works on your subconscious. I mean, it's very, very wordy, and a lot of things are said, and a lot of ideas are expressed, and it's very philosophical. But it hit me on an emotional level. It made me feel like I was in the middle of 100 revelations at the same time. It was a joy to adapt this book. It was a huge challenge because they are speaking in a hayloft for hours and hours and hours. And I think what was really important to me was that the film have a scope, a sense of an epic, a sense of a fable, a sense of that this conversation was crucial and essential to the progress of their world, that there was nothing more important happening than this conversation amongst women about how they were going to break down the world they lived in and create a new one. So I kind of was thinking visually from the very beginning with the adaptation, like in the script stage. It was really important for me to imagine those landscapes and the canvas on which it was, on which the story was going to be told.
We forfeit our place in heaven. Surely there must be something worth living for in this life, not only the next.
We know that we are bruised and infected and pregnant, and some of us are dead.
We cannot forgive because we are forced to.
When I saw the cast list, you got to know that I was like, what are you talking about? Wow. Okay, overwhelmed. And we had 2 weeks of rehearsal, you know, Zooming first and then in person. I was so intimidated at first. I mean, for me, it was like showing up at the Olympics every single day, and I had to bring my A game. Like, I was very nervous and, you know, so respectful of, you know, Claire Foy and Rooney Mara and, you know, Judith Ivey from Broadway and her body of work and Ben Whishaw. I mean, everybody. It was such an intense serious film to be a part of, but we laughed an awful lot. And, we spent all our days together. We were rooming together. And the fact that COVID was all around us in a very intense way during the filming only added to the kind of structure and the kind of tightness of our world in the hayloft. I think COVID and being masked up until we shot helped us in a strange silver lining kind of way. But we had a blast making this movie.
How would you feel if in your entire life it never mattered what you thought? When we've liberated ourselves, we will have to ask ourselves who we are.